Hello. Just wanted to have another chat. Today's a public holiday, but no excuse not to post something. Um, Been an interesting week. The first week of semester is always interesting. Many of the staff, of course, are here at Curtin specifically because we like teaching. So having students come back, having a face-to-face class, it's absolutely wonderful. It's always really confusing in the first week. A lot of people have a lot of questions. There's a lot of shuffling with the timetables. It does get a little bit better, but it also gets a lot more hectic for other reasons later in the semester. I'm enjoying myself. I hope you're enjoying yourself too. What I wanted to talk briefly about today is the timetable system. Most of the more experienced students will know about this, but for you, those of you who don't, if you go to timetable.student.curtin.edu.au, then you'll get to this page. This is different from the OASIS timetable because the OASIS timetable, as far as I understand, shows you your current timetable, your current classes. Many people now are in tutorials or practicals that they don't particularly want to be in because other people got there ahead of them. There are still new classes being added. There are still people waiting to get into a class. I mentioned that briefly last week. So in the end, if you go to here and look at a couple of classes, so let me put in a couple of classes. I'll say Comp 2009, which is one of my classes. I can do a search by the code here. That'll show me the unit. I can add that here. I can add another unit, say, search for that. And as long as you know the code, that's fine. You can also put the title in there, but it's a bit hit and miss. So for example, this has got an and in it, an ampersand, rather than the word and. Once you've got all the units you're interested in, go on View Timetable. And that will show you the full timetable for all of the units you've selected. Notice it's color-coded. You have lectures in a different color, computer labs, tutorials in different colors. It'll tell you what the unit is, etc. Obviously, these aren't happening. I've just recorded this lecture here, but if you mouse over it, you can see the venue, you can see the time, and you can see the places left. So that particular lecture has one spot left. This particular lecture has 70 spaces left. The lectures aren't that important. What about the tutorials? This particular tutorial has one place left. So if you wanted to change into that, you could, with safety, pull out of your Comp 3001 tutorial and expect to be able to get into that, unless you're so unlucky that in that split of second, somebody else grabbed that spot. If you were to look at a different tutorial like this one, there's no point trying to get into it because you can't. And you can keep coming back here and checking and just mousing over it saying, oh, no places left, I don't need to bother. Because of course, once you pull out of your current tutorial, somebody else could snipe that and you won't be able to get back the spot you've got at the moment. So this is a good way to know. Also, if you haven't managed to enroll in a unit yet, if you know that you need to enroll in a particular unit this semester, because I've told you so or somebody else has, um, do make sure you're checking with Connect. Connect will check with our student services. Fairly much all of our units are increased as long as there's students looking to enter. There are a few that aren't. For example, the new Apple Ecosystems unit, that isn't going to be increased beyond a certain size because we have very limited Macintosh lab facilities and none at all in our building. So some units will not go beyond a certain size. Check with Connect. Connect will put you through to Michelle Cortina, our teaching support officer, and she'll be able to tell you what we're doing with that. Connect will, like I said, be able to work you with that. Don't bother asking me because all I'll do is just pass it on to Michelle, and really officially, according to the process, the request should come from Connect to Michelle. So if you're waiting for a unit and you need to get into it, just find one of these classes that has a spot or two free. Oh, what do you know? The 8 o'clock classes have lots of free seats. Who would have thought that? But you might not want that. You might want to have this 2 o'clock class instead. Just turn up there and make sure you're doing the work. Do tell the person, so in this case, the lab supervisor, and when you go into the lecturer, that this is what you're doing. Introduce yourself. Because if you're joining in the second week or even the third week, yes, you can join the third week if you need to, as long as the lecturer knows you've been attending classes and covering the material, then you're okay. Normally, the lecturer is quite happy to sign off on you joining a unit quite late. But do check with the lecturer and the UC because it is important. And because you won't have access to Blackboard, you will need somebody, probably someone from your tutorial group, who can pass you the material. Um, it's a workaround, but if you're waiting to get into a unit, that's probably the best thing to do. Even if not, this is a really nice thing to do. If you're thinking now, oh, gee, I've got a clash with a particular thing. What other unit can I choose? You can go and look at a bunch of different units using this and decide which one has availabilities, has gaps in classes that suit you better. Although, in general, you're better off taking a class that maybe means you have to get here at 8 in order to do a really good class. But I know life can be a bit difficult and 8 a.m. doesn't exist for some people. Anyway, I hope that helps, and I hope you enjoy your second week as well. And that's it from me for today. Ciao.